The Idealists Club, Chapter 3, Growing Up. Moving from elementary school to middle school didn't seem like as big a leap as the change from 6th to 7th grade. When we all came back in September, it was as if everyone had shot up at least a few inches. I was starting to grow armpit hair, and the girls in class were starting to grow breasts and have periods. The boys would huddle in corners and talk about how many girls they had fingered, even though most of them didn't even know what fingering was. On top of all that, schoolwork seemed like it had gotten twice as hard. I would read and reread and not understand anything. This was probably because I was more depressed than ever, and the changes in hormones that made me moody also made me more aware of what an outcast I was. I used to be okay being picked last in sports, hiding in a dark blue hoodie at the back of class. I reasoned that it didn't matter and that once I graduated, I could find a good job at Disney or an art studio, but even that seemed above my abilities. The more I learned about those companies, the more it looked like drudgery. The cartoons I once idolized all now felt hollow, predictable, and grossly commercial. Without realizing it, I had gone all summer without talking to Alicia. I stayed inside most of the summer, watching TV and sleeping. I tried explaining my lack of motivation to her, but she responded by ignoring me. She said she didn't care. She didn't want to have anything to do with me. To her credit, I figured she deserved better, so I didn't chase after her. I retreated even further into watching TV, cartoons, and drawing and dreaming, occasionally venturing into the fields behind my house. They were almost finished being transformed into suburbs. One day, after my parents had been fighting, yelling at each other and slamming doors for an hour, I turned off the DuckTales I was using to distract myself with and decided I wanted to die. I gathered as many pills as I could find, vitamins, aspirin, random prescriptions, and swallowed them all. About 50 pills along with a Coke. I had no desire to keep living in this world. It seemed pointless and painful and destined to get worse if the adults in my life were any indication. The next morning I woke up, my mouth a little bit dry, but otherwise the same as ever. That night at dinner, I told my dad what I had done. He shrugged, told me life was hard, and went back to work on a birdhouse in his shop. About a month later, in late October, we had an English assignment. We were supposed to tell the class how we imagined our lives as adults. I stared at a blank sheet of paper for 10 minutes before I could think of a single word. I didn't know what to write, so I wrote that I wanted to live far away from the life I knew, far away from people, from society. I said I would probably need to grow vegetables on my own, but I couldn't imagine a place for myself anywhere else since I didn't fit in. Everyone else wrote about being a doctor or a teacher or an actor or a businessman or a housewife. Everyone except me. Me and AJ, actually. AJ wrote that he didn't know. He said he used to idolize his father and wanted to be a mechanic like him, but now he wasn't sure. As he shared his essay with the class, we exchanged a glance and a brief moment of being on the same wavelength. I was sure it wouldn't amount to anything. Then the teacher told us to stay after class. I don't recall what she said. She didn't yell, but it had the tone of a lecture. I think she was trying to impress upon us how serious our futures were and how important it was to make the right choices. We laughed and mocked her afterwards. AJ said we should never fall for the kind of crap society wants for us, since all the adults we knew were miserable, dishonest shrills. I laughed and agreed. I thought the people they called successful, actors, politicians, businessmen, were just like monkeys. It's all a lie. They're lying to us. They're miserable and destroying the world and want us to be miserable with them, he said. I don't know how they do it. My parents seem so unhappy, I said. They've given up, Isaac said. My dad drinks a lot. There was a pause. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be. I know your parents suck too. Anyway, I had to catch the bus, but we should make a pact to never be like them. Yeah, I said. We'll make our path. We'll make our own path or die trying. We smiled, laughed, and waved goodbye. Chapter 4: The Idealists Club. It was a random Tuesday, and AJ said it would be fun to hang out. My stomach sank because I wasn't sure. I never did that except with Alicia, and I think she didn't mind that I was awkward. He smiled, and I started to think maybe I was afraid of him for no reason. There was a seemingly endless field behind his house, land no one had bothered to buy or farm yet. We rode ATVs or dirt bikes, shot BBs and 22s, and he taught me how to fish. Really fish. You really don't know much, he said one day. Aside from the names of the Ninja Turtles, I had to admit, I pretty much didn't. My parents would have been happier with a pet rock. My mom just shopped and my dad hid in his workshop after work. He laughed. I wish my dad was less interested. He showed me all this stuff, how to hunt and fish and grow tomatoes. But sometimes he was mean because he was drunk. Oh, I said. I wasn't really sure what else to say. I wondered if I should tell teachers or the police. I wasn't sure it would make much difference, so I did nothing. I kept seeing AJ after school and on weekends. He didn't mind that I was awkward because he could talk more, and I learned a lot. I didn't see his father much, and when I did, he was always nice to me. I knew it was because I was not family. I told AJ we should make up a name for our group. He asked why. I said so that when we grew up and changed the world, we could tell people who we were. He sighed, then laughed. How about the Idiots Club? He suggested. Seriously, I said. Okay, the Idealists Club, then. He smiled, that mischievous, sarcastic smile of his. He thought it was a joke. I didn't. I liked the name. I made us a binder, I made us a sign. He rolled his eyes and laughed. So what will we do when we get older? He asked while tying a knot on a fishing line. We'll grow food, live off the land. We won't be alcoholics and we won't be indifferent like our parents. We'll figure it out. We won't give up, I said. Of course, he said. We found a black lab with no collar who looked like he hadn't drunk in days. I approached slowly and pet him. I was nervous he'd bite me, but he jumped up happily and licked my face. We gave him water and kept him in AJ's shed. There was no way to know where he came from, and it seemed like his owners didn't care much. He was thin, mangy, covered in ticks. We fed him scraps, but we knew our families wouldn't let us keep a dog. AJ talked about letting him go because he needed to be free. I worried, and AJ promised he wouldn't let him go. But a few days later, the dog was gone. Isaac said the knots must have come undone, but I knew better. Come on, he said. He needed to be free, just like we do. I sighed. I hope he's okay, I said. That summer we camped. AJ's mom packed crackers, snacks, and water and worried about us. His dad and my parents didn't seem to care. We slept in a huge tent and hung our food in a tree. One night, a grumbling bear woke us. AJ told me not to worry. Black bears are skittish. I clutched him without realizing. He laughed. I stayed awake all that night. We thought we were Huck Finn or Lewis and Clark, picking berries, finding mushrooms, building shelters. We returned to AJ's house every few days. His mom fed us rice and snacks and worried. We would have starved otherwise. We traded food with a man who looked homeless, and he gave us a six-pack of beer. I drank 3 and passed out. AJ said he understood why his dad drank. It made him feel free. He teased me about the bear for weeks, called me a pussy, told me to man up. I never argued. At the end of August, we went back to school. We didn't want to. It felt like a waste of time. I had to see a school counselor once a week. My parents smiled and agreed in this session to all that the counselor said, then laughed about it at home, saying, "Kids can't be depressed." I told the counselor that if things don't work out, maybe I'd kill myself. Panic crossed the counselor's face. He made me promise never to say that again. I signed a paper. The thoughts didn't stop. I just stopped sharing them with him. People say high school is the best time of your life. I barely remember it. When I was stuck at home, I played Breath of the Wild and pretended I lived in Hyrule. I wanted that freedom. Isaac said, "Idealism always catches up with you." I worked as a nursery. Isaac worked at his dad's shop. We saved money. Finals were easy. After graduation, everyone went to the beach. Isaac and I loaded up his Honda Civic and left, promising we'd never come back.